Welcome to another episode. Seven Gray here, and this is perhaps the very first vlog that I've done that begins at night. And this is going to be really fun because I am going dumpster diving with my friend Giuseppe. I haven't had a chance to adjust the intro, so I'm going to roll that. Just have to put up with it for another few episodes before I get to tweak it. Then I'll be meeting with Giuseppe and heading out to do some dumpster diving for organic food. Giuseppe is on his way. I feel a little bit like a prowler. I'm wearing my black hat, I have my black jacket on, my black pants, and I even got some gloves, some plastic gloves. I'm going to take the camera along and try to document this, but low light conditions aren't exactly great for the camera. I'm hoping everything comes out okay. This is just an exciting thing. It's one of the two things I wanted to do with Giuseppe is learn about dumpster diving, and the other is I want to learn about serving tea from him. A couple of years ago I read an article, I think it was in Wired magazine or Popular Mechanics, on a dumpster diver that goes to Office Max and Best Buy, and he was just making like $20,000, $30,000 a year just dumpster diving and getting electronics. Well, I'm more interested in getting health food. That's intriguing to me. There's so much food waste in America. It's just really disturbing to me, and I'm on board with that, and definitely feel that Giuseppe's on a right path with that. And here is the T-bus, Mr. Giuseppe over here. All right, let's get some dumpster diving tips. What do I need to know?
Dumpster diving 101. The number one thing is, and the most concerning thing for obvious reasons for most people, is health, and to make sure that what you're doing is safe. It's going to be safe for you. It's going to be safe for anyone that you might be feeding that food to. Of course, always tell people you're giving them food from the trash. I always say that it's been responsibly dumpster dived or carefully. I actually have this, it's called the old scale: organic, local, and dumpstered. And you can rate any meal on the old scale from 0 to 100 for each of those categories. And you try to get over 100 for a meal. So if it's like where we're going tonight, all the produce is 100% organic. So if we made food from dumpster dive food from where we're going, it would be O 100 and D 100. Probably not L, local, very local, but it would be score 200 on the meal. Anyways, whole nother topic. Dumpster diving safety. You do what humans did for millions of years before industrial agriculture, which is use your senses. Look, touch, taste, smell, think. If you see something in the dumpster, the number one thing you want to do is determine why it's in the dumpster. So if you see like 20 of these emergency type vitamin C drink things in the trash, if there's 25 of them, the chances are either there was a recall or they're expired. So look at expiration. That expired in September of 2017, so 4 months ago. Perfectly good still. That's pretty old actually to find something that expired in the dumpster. 4 months, which is not very much. So determine why is it? Is it a bruised fruit? Is it a slightly wilted head of lettuce? Is it ugly? Is it dented? Always try to determine why something's in the trash. If there's something in the trash that's not expired and isn't ugly, you got to kind of question it and think about it, and analyze and whatever it is. I found a whole bunch of cases and cases and cases of vegan mac and cheese in the dumpster in Athens, Georgia, and they weren't expired. There was no reason they should be in the dumpster. They're in the boxes, in the cases, and I looked it up and there was a recall. But the recall was there was possible cheese contamination, dairy contamination in the vegan mac and cheese. So for me, that doesn't matter because I'm not a vegan, and that way it's actually great for me because then I can take all this vegan mac and cheese and eat it. So try to determine why it's in the dumpster. Be careful if you don't get something out of the trash that makes you feel uncomfortable. If you see something that's smushy and gross and in weird liquid you don't know what it is, don't take it. If that you know, use your senses. Does it bother you? Is there just a burst yogurt container next to this apple? I'm okay if a yogurt container burst onto an apple because I'll just wash the apple off. Not to mention, yogurt is probiotic. There's much less likely going to be bad things growing in it. Maintaining being stealth, but not overly stealth, so that, I mean, Seven's dressed in all black tonight, but that's okay because that's how he dresses a lot of the time. You know, maintain a low profile. I usually try to go after employees are gone. Sometimes I'll go during the day when there's employees there or whatever. 3 things I always bring. Bag, like a grocery bag. Like I use a lot of these Chico bag kind of things. I always bring at least 2. Oftentimes you can find more bags or boxes in a dumpster. So 2 is usually enough. Gloves, I always bring like the rubber dipped kind of landscaper type gloves or work gloves, just in case there's broken glass or something sharp, which I've never in 12 years of dumpster diving been cut by anything. And a headlamp or flashlight. And the rule with the flashlight is you always keep it below the lid of the dumpster, below the rim. And that's just to keep it from shining all around and just making it super obvious that you're there, shining lights around, and kind of the last thing we want to do is draw attention. So just pretending like you know what you're doing, going, opening dumpsters. I love getting in dumpsters. A lot of people will do the classic diver move, which is you hoist yourself up and in the fold of your body, right across, you know, your crotch, kind of, you use it as a pivot and balance point to reach in, and it's kind of this. You really are kind of diving. You're like almost like submersed underwater, like you're, you know, scuba diving or something. And that, you know, that can be handy in certain situations if there's not room in a dumpster, or if there's just one thing you want to quickly grab on top because, you know, an employee might come out because maybe there's still employees in the store. But I love getting in dumpsters, and I'll even close the lid behind me because I just like taking the time to go through bags methodically and keep the noise to a minimum. My whole thing is to make it seem like to any employee who might go back there that no one was ever there. So if the lid was open when you got there, leave it open. If it was closed when you got there, leave it closed. If you're tearing bags open, put them back, tear side down. So just keep it from seeming like anyone was ever there. Kind of the low impact method, and that's my personal method. Well, dumpster diving is really just a band-aid for much larger social issues. The biggest one, obviously, being that our current system of capitalism requires ever-expanding market, and when you have food businesses that need to, and you have to expand at 3 or 4% a year, or else your business doesn't succeed. So when you have a population that grows at 1% and a food industry that needs to grow at 3 or 4%, the food industry will find ways to either make you buy more food, making addictive foods, making foods without nutrients so that you have to eat more, or incorporate food waste into the system. So it's kind of built in that, and it's not just food, all industries are like that, or so many industries are like that. And so part of it is to counteract that idea that you need to have an ever-expanding market, and, you know, therefore you're going to incorporate food waste in. And the other parts are, I mean, there's just simple logic and morals of there's hungry people in the world, and there's food being thrown away. We throw away somewhere between 30 and 40% of our food every day in the United States, and you know that's a pretty substantial amount. And a lot of it is through supermarkets and just because things are ugly or not perfect. So for me personally, when I go look in a dumpster and I see enough food for it to feed a family for a week, just in one night of going into a dumpster, or 2 families or 5 families for a week, that becomes kind of a moral obligation on my end as a human being to say, here's all this food going to waste. Not only did it take a bunch of energy to grow the food and to ship the food and to refrigerate the food and to put the food on the shelves and heat the store and put lights on, but then it's also going to take energy to ship it to a landfill and then put it in a landfill. And then once food is in the landfill, because it's biodegradable in anaerobic conditions, that food then creates methane, which is 30 times more potent of a greenhouse gas than CO2. So even if you were to compost the food, it would be, it'd be one thing. It would be a lot less harmful because you're just creating CO2 mostly from aerobic composting. But in the landfill, you're creating much more of an impact. I also love it because it's free food and it's kind of fun to sneak around and steal things from trash cans.
That's fantastic. Great explanation. I'm so excited to go do this. I've been wanting to do this actually for about a year or two before I met you. And so, you know, when I found out you were interested in it, I was just like so psyched. So, yep.
Let's go down.
All right, let's go do it. I'm just laughing. This is so funny. We're in here in the dumpster, in the little thing. The gate is unlocked, and we're getting our gear on, getting the headlamp, the gloves, and going to go in. I've got to get geared up, but I'm going to let Giuseppe go first.
Oh, not a lot in here. Darn. We can still dig through it. So one of the things I like to do is you feel the weight of the bag, and that'll give you a good idea if there's anything. Because things that you want are usually heavier. Like organic fermented fruitful greens nutrition blend. These are probably expired. Yeah, these expired last month. They originally were $30, then they were on sale for $15, and now they're free in the dumpster, the ultimate markdown. The store we're at is both a health food store, like a natural food store, and lots of health products. This is what you want to find. Carton of eggs, you got 2 cracked ones, and those aren't even cracked bad enough to really care. I might check those ones by putting them in water. If they sink, they're good. If they float, they're bad. But otherwise, that's a perfectly good dozen of organic free-range eggs.
All right, I'm going to climb inside. There's one bag left for me to do.
Be really careful. And just keep your ear out for broken glass. What is that?
Elderberry,
oh, cool,
vitamin
great.
C dietary supplement.
Wow, that's cool. Nice elderberry syrup. Elderberry and echinacea. That's awesome for winter time. Oh, and so what's cool about this store is that oftentimes these labels, see that thing taped to it?
Yeah.
It'll tell you exactly why the item was in the trash.
Okay.
So it'll tell you it was a return and why this one was ripped in half, but it'll tell you exactly why. So sometimes you'll find items that were returns. Yeah, see, these labels will say specific reason, bought wrong item. So this person came and bought this item and then it was the wrong thing. And it happens a lot with food stuff too. They'll return it and then it just gets thrown in the trash.
Well, that was very interesting.
Sorry, we didn't find more stuff, Seven.
Well, they probably just had a dumpster run, something like this morning.
It was emptied pretty recently, so.
Yeah, I think so. But that was a fun experience. Get a little bit of tutorial from the Giuseppe master. Anyway, that's all I have for this episode. Thank you for watching. Savor the moment. See you next episode.